Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your vote, if you can figure out who done it, then only then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened. Now then.
We already know who did it.
Was that?
It was Hiro. He does not have an alibi for when the murders took place, and we found him in that suit. Don't try and deny it! You killed—
I didn't! Someone knocked me out! I was asleep the whole time! I don't know—
Shut your murdering mouth, murderer!
Who are you You call it a murderer!
I am sorry to say, Hero, but we do have blueprint for the suit. Parts we assume were used, and all of it was found in your room. You have to admit it points to you as having created the suit and wearing it.
How many times do I have to tell? I don't know! I don't know! I don't know!
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
I don't know anything about that stuff! It's not true! It's a conspiracy!
Hero, why? Why did you kill them?
No! Just hold on a second!
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts.
No, it's wrong. Are we sure Hero really made those
What do you mean?
Well, take a look at it's the note that Hero wrote, asking everyone to meet up after altering. The handwriting's obviously different. When you compare it to the blueprints.
There's no way you could think the same person made, unless that person made it a point to disguise the...
No, the differences are bigger than that.
Come on! I'm not smart enough to think of trying to change my handwriting anyway.
So Makoto, are you saying you don't think Hiro's the culprit?
And he's not the only one. I think Hiro is innocent as well.
Then who was in that robo-justice? Is it like Hiro said? Was there really someone running around in a second suit?
The suspicious individual hidden within the suit. Go ahead, Makoto. Tell them who it was.
So? Who was...
Shoot! Shoot! I got it! Other than Hiro, I can't. Obviously he was the one in that particular suit.
Then there can be no doubt.
That doesn't make any sense!
It makes perfect sense. Hiro was the suspicious individual in the suit.
So what you're saying...
That's right. The culprit in this case has nothing to do...
What? Now that's a boldest... And what reason do you have to make such a statement?
Of course. There's something else we need to clarify first.
Hey, stop trying to boss us around!
All things have a proper...
So what is it? What...
We must clarify the method of transportation for Taki. It would seem that his corpse was moved using certain... Makoto, can you tell us what they were?
I got it! I got it! They were a dolly and a tarp, right? So, let's see if... Taka's body disappeared from the equipment room. And then we rediscovered it in the repository. And when we found it for the second time, it was wrapped in a blue tarp, right? It was the same tarp that, up until then, was stored in the equipment room. So the killer must have seen it there, and decided to use it when they moved Taka's body. That way, they wouldn't leave any bloodstains while they were...
Okay, that explains the tarp.
Same thing. I'm sure the dolly was in the equipment room when we first found Taka's body. But when the body disappeared... Later, when Taka's body reappeared in the... So did the dolly.
In other words, you think they used the dolly to move the body. But are you sure you are not mistaken?
Huh?
Are you absolutely absolutely positive the dolly was in the equipment room. That dolly was made specifically for moving large objects between the repository. It would be very strange indeed is it not possible that it was in the repository all along?
She's raised an objection.
There is no shame in being wrong. We have all accepted the fact that you rarely understand what... You had it wrong! You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. Away with you! You miserable wretch! I cannot agree. You are a fool. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst, you miserable wretch! You had it wrong! I cannot agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. Away with you. You miserable wretch. I cannot agree. You are a fool. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. You miserable wretch. You miserable wretch. You have it wrong. I cannot agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. Away with you. You miserable wretch.
Is this... I refuse to give up yet!
You have it wrong! I cannot agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. Away with you. You miserable wretch. I cannot agree. You are a fool. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst, you miserable wretch. You have it wrong. I cannot agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. Away with you. You miserable wretch. I cannot agree. You are a fool. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. I cannot agree.
This should prove it. If you're asking for proof that the dolly moved, when I found the dolly in the repository, there was a pool of blood in the equipment room with the tire mark. The killer probably rolled the dolly through the blood on accident. As the blood dried on the tire, they moved the... So there's my proof that the dolly would...
Well, anyway, That was just something we had to get out of the way. Let's get back.
Yeah, the subject of how Robo Justice didn't do it. Because if it's not a killer robot, what kind of robot is it?
I'm not sure that
I'd be happy to explain why the occupant of the suit couldn't possibly. If you look back on how the body was transported, as we know, Taka was killed in the equipment room. And from there, the body was moved to the repository, correct?
Yeah, the culprit wrapped the body in the tarp, then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
Now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over.
No, that's wrong! You're absolutely right that you could push a dolly without a hand, but if you were wearing that suit... What do you think back to what you said when we were all checking... When you're in that suit, not only can you not see your feet, am I right about that?
Now that you mention it,
seems like it'd be awfully hard to push that dolly if you could.
well, what's to stop you from simply pushing?
When you can't even see your feet? You really think...
Yeah, it'd be totally impossible! Not that I can say for sure, Mike.
On top of that, if you were wearing such a rigid, cumbersome suit, it's very unlikely you would have the dexterity to go about wrapping the body in a tarp.
Well, I mean, isn't that just a matter of taking off the suit when you're ready to move the...
I got it! I don't think taking off the suit was an option.
That's true. It seems impossible to put the suit on or take it off without help.
Then, you really can't take it off by yourself? Hero,
Of course I wasn't making it up.
If he could have gotten it off by himself, I don't think he would have let us see him wearing it. Showing up in the suit was basically an invitation for everyone to suspect.
Yeah, that's right!
so... It's really, really true that Robo Justice couldn't have moved...
To be clear, whoever did move the body, it couldn't have been Hero in the robot.
No, wait. Just a second, if you please. Have you forgotten about the picture that I took? You all got a good look at it, did you not? The image of Hifumi being dragged away by Robo Justice? If whoever was in that suit is not the culprit... Besides, do you remember what the now deceased Hifumi... So long as those facts exist, the proper conclusion is the individual inside the suit and the culprit are one and the same. Yeah.
Hold on a second!
It's still far too early to read. Besides, there's no hurt before we rush to a verdict. Shouldn't we explore instead of seizing on one viewpoint? The truth is uncovered by...
Perhaps, but where do we go from here?
Let's review this series of unfortunate events from the beginning.
What a pity!
I don't disagree, but our lives are...
Plus, maybe we'll get to find out where the heck Kyoko was when everything went...
All right then. Let's take another look back. I suppose we could start with the four of us gathered together in the dining hall. We waited there for quite a while, but no, that was around 8 a.m.
And as soon as we split up, Kyoko...
Soon after that, Hina found Celeste in the rec room and quickly kicked...
It seems I was unconscious for about an hour after I was attacked by my miss... I know it was an hour, because I remember being attacked a little after 7.
That was when we saw Celeste's picture and discovered that her assailant had been wearing a... As it turns out, it also soon became clear that this same Robo Justice had... We were soon joined in our search by Byakuya and Toko. He was injured, so we took him to the nurse's office and resumed... But not long after leaving...
when Celeste told us that, we decided, and soon after that,
I saw someone moving around on the 3rd floor.
And then... At that point, we decided to divide up into two. Celeste, Hina, and I went back to the nurse, while Sakura, Byakuya, and Toko... When we got back to the nurse's office, and that's when we heard the body I left Celeste and Hina there and headed back to the 3rd floor.
Meanwhile, we had just discovered Taka's body. We must have found both bodies at almost because we heard the same announcement not long after.
And that's when I told you guys about. Then the 3 of us headed for the nurse's office. But right after we left the physic, we ran into Celeste, who'd arrived after us. We rushed back to the nurse's office.
Then we remembered we'd left Toko passed out in the equipment. But when we got there, we discovered that now Taka's body had all. Next thing we knew, we were searching the school for. And after some.
Celeste informed us that she'd found the bodies, and which is where we rediscovered the.
I think that about covers it.
I see. The whole thing, it certainly seems to me that these are not a simple series of...
Okay, well...
Rather than a single series of events, I think we have to consider each murder a separate situation. And from there, we can uncover the contradictions surrounding... Now then, let's get started. Begin... So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
Shoot!
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in.
Shoot!
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
Shoot!
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after? So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice...
No, that's wrong. Hold on. There's no reason to assume that the hammers were used in the same order as their numbers. If anything, that's just another way the killer tried to...
So you're saying the culprit wanted us to think the hammers were used, but in reality, Taka was killed before... Okay then, let's see the proof.
Is this really... I refuse to give up yet! Now I understand! I got it! Taka's wrist... See? Look!
It must have gotten broken when he was attacked by the killer. So if it wasn't broken after 6 last night, then he must have been attacked.
And that would be his official...
But if that's true, then he was
And before Celeste was attacked this morning.
That's right. Taka was killed before any of the other incidents.
That simple fact slipped past us. We made the wrong assumption about the order of events.
That's exactly why the culprit wrote the numbers on each hammer. That way, when we saw how they were used in each incident, we'd easily...
Now, if Taka was killed around 6, then everyone's alibis for his murder go out because when he was killed, we hadn't met up in the dining hall.
That may be true in the case of Bud. All of our alibis still hold true for Hifumi's.
That's right. With him... When we heard Hifumi screaming, we were all together. Except for Hiro and Ki. Then we all ran down to the nurse's office. That's totally true. We're all...
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming on a tape or something!
If that's true, where's the tape?
I don't know.
Don't just go making stuff.
Anyway, we all have rock-solid alibis for when, since all of us were there together.
And it does not stop there. There was also the moment when his body vanished from the... Hina and I were in the bathroom together, while everyone else was in the equipment room. And then, there's the disappearance of Taka's body from the equipment room. At that time, we were all gathered together in the nurse's office. Well, don't forget, I was passed out in the equipment room.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka...
Even if she could pull that off, there's no way she could have done the same with Keith, because, as we just established, she was passed out in the equipment room when his body...
Besides, I didn't do either of them anyway. In other words, it is impossible that any of us could have killed Hifumi. Or, on the other hand, Hiro and Kyoko had disappeared. So they most certainly...
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it, or we'll just keep going. So instead of who, I propose we start talking about how. In particular, I think we need to figure out how Hifumi's body got moved.
That's true. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't figure out how to explain his body And according to what Celeste... His body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took their... But to carry that much weight from the first floor up to the...
Oh man, yeah! There's...
Well, what if I told you there was a way to make the impossible
What?
If the dead body were to...
The dead body...
No!
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. I think we thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps it...
He was...
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office, but simply walked out on...
But I mean, we found his body.
Perhaps he was simply...
That... it...
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
Shoot!
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Shoot!
Are you... There's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
Shoot! Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually... he's still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us.
Hifumi's dead, and that is why. Are we real? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Shoot! Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No,
Hifumi was dead, and you know that how?
surely you heard the body discovery announcement. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we real? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Shoot!
Is this really the end for all of us? I refuse to give up yet!
Are you sick? That when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No. Because Hifumi was dead,
And you know that how?
surely you heard the body discovery announcement. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
No, it's wrong! Was the body discovery announcement that was made really...
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered...
Maybe. But that was also the same time that Taka's body was found.
That's right. It wasn't long after finding his body that we heard the announcement.
So there's a good chance we've made a mistake in there, so I think we've confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi.
First of all, if 2 bodies had been found, there really should have been 2.
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy and...
What do you say, Monokuma? Any comment?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue. But what I can say about the body discovery announcement, it's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body for the first time.
That didn't answer our question, man.
No, actually, that was... He said it's only broadcast when a body is discovered for the first time. Even if we find the same body again later, he won't. If that's true, then why was the announcement made again?
Huh? Later on?
Exactly. We heard the body discovery announcement. Shoot! I got it! We heard it a second time in the repository. It didn't seem weird at the time, but it contradicts what Mom...
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies,
Then in reality, when the two dead bodies were rediscovered, being discovered for the first...
So, when we found Hifumi the first time in the nurse's office, meaning he wasn't actually found dead until we came upon...
And that's just part of... There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive.
I know! Because he was super good at playing dead!
That is the worst logic. But honestly, I do not think there's anything that can...
Okay then, let's take another look at the events. Then it should become clear whether he...
This whole thing is...
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found Hifumi's body was in the nurse's office. And then, while me and Celeste were in the bathroom, his body disappeared.
and the next time we saw his body, it was in the repository.
But when you compare his body before being moved and his body after being moved, other than the change in how it was positioned...
Shoot!
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found him, and then his body disappeared.
And the next time we saw his body, it was in the repository.
But when you compare his body before the... Other than the change in how it was positioned, there was no notable difference.
No, it's wrong! In fact, there was one clear difference between Hifumi in the nurse's office and the repository. His glasses. That fact alone proves that he was only playing...
Perhaps you'd like to feel the rest...
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office... But when we found him again later, they were spotted. And I found the item he used... I got it! It was a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon mascot. One look at the bloodstain on this piece of cloth was used, and the mascot on the cloth is this. And whose digital camera was?
The character was... Princess...
I highly doubt anyone but Hifumi would have brought something like...
I see your point. And the only people here...
I wouldn't be caught dead using a
A few tissues is all I need to keep my glasses clean.
Then there's no question. What I'm saying is, the blood on his glasses was wiped away using his own glasses.
Even if that is true, it does not mean he wiped the...
But who would benefit from a clean pair of glasses?
That's a good point.
And it must have been hit.
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive. He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he stands up and walks. And with that, the impossible task of moving his copious corpse.
But then, if he was just pretending... What was with all that blood?
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of blood for emergency.
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out. So he just dumped, but he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done.
And if Hifumi was still alive at that point, the disappearance of Taka's body is... It should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka.
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room.
That also explains how the door to the
The door was locked? Well, after the bodies disappeared, we all went looking, so me and Sakura headed for the repository. But when we got there,
and the repository door can only be locked, which means when Hina and Sakura got to the repository,
And it could only have been Hifumi, who just finished stashing Taka.
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged. So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case.
But that means he took...
I just...
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more?
There's more?
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet. You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
I got it! You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
Hidden note?
That's right. We found it.
What? Him?
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now. Take.
That's the note I was telling you about. The one that... Huh? Wait, this one's a little different. In my note, it's... Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's...
See. Then this note isn't the same one Hiro...
It's not the same?
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person, and that person could only have been... I got it! That's right! The killer used this note to drop...
Hello? Over here? I don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, so whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Huffy! Just to be clear, yes! Why must you ruin it? Huffy had the note, right? Then the person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said. What time did it say to meet?
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
No, that's wrong! No, they're absolute...
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. We've already proven that using his wrist, but there's more. Look where the note... the equipment room.
Which is where Taka was killed.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time and place. I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Well, when you put it like that... No further objections!
Then someone used that note to trick Taka. The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster. Telling people they...
But if they gave the note to Taka, what was Hifumi doing with it? Stuffed down his pants?
Most likely. Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after...
Where's your proof? Go ahead.
I got it! When I searched Taka's body, I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of... If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this... I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note...
Then Taka's scrap...
Yup. They're from the same piece of...
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small... There's only one way to explain...
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from its leaving behind only one. Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in...
Whoa, yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved. In fact, he was behind the whole thing.
Sorry, no. When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was the second body discovery in...
So then...
Whoever did is the mastermind.
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished. But before we found...
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's... In other words, during that time...
Wait, but me and Sakura were together. Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus. Who are you calling a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me.
And what might that be?
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
The weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office, and so if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammer, then put the hammer backward. But wouldn't that be serious?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that...
Hell yeah, it's packed in there.
He's right, though. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were... But if the hammers were all...
So the question is, how could this... Personally, I have...
So which hammer was used to attack
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And
Is it not possible they used...
I don't think it is possible. They were...
So then, well... What was used to kill Hifumi?
shoot!
What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the...
No, it's wrong! The murder weapon wasn't a Justice Hammer at all. No, it was something completely
But, seriously?
specifically a hammer from the repository. Now, all the hammers in the repository were cut, but for some reason... And the reason it had been scrubbed clean, if the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds, and even some flat mallet. I think whoever made the Justice Hammers used those as...
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma files.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository.
Whoever did that is the true killer.
The one... Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working the way the graduation rule works. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this. Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate, and assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, Even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Shoot! Based on the rules that have even if more than one, only the one who actually, assuming the rule holds true.
That is.
But that only really, in this case, however, there were two murders.
Based on the rules, even if more than one, only the one who actually, assuming the rule holds true.
That is.
But that only really, in this case, however, there were two murders.
Based on the rules that even if more than one, only the one who actually, assuming the rule holds true.
That is.
But that only really applies if there's one murder. In this case, however, there were two murders.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive, assuming the rule holds true.
No, it's wrong! Since there were two murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person...
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really naturally. If only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus
Risk versus
the payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their, and based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act. Murder. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of hell.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple. Instead, each person killed someone. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true kill. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each by creating one seamless set of
The mastermind picked their target and then to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply, which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi...
That's just...
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems... odd.
Understand how an accomplice could be involved. But then, who was the one?
That's problem numero uno right now!
Here's my answer! It was Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious...
A joke?
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work the idea that I would choose to spend, that I would go within 10 feet of that...
Just to be clear, there is evidence.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves...
Shoot! Shoot! I got it! The behavior they had in common, the only ones who ever actually...
Shush! The adults... As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't.
Are you saying everything they told us?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our. And not too long after that, we headed to the second floor, next to draw us all to the.
She let out a blood.
And when we'd all come to see what. Once she'd done her job of getting, it was time for her part.
It was to get us to divide into two groups.
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who. Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all. And on top of that, that was to signal Hifumi what. It was your way of telling him we're on the third floor. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried.
I just realized another. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now. Celeste, you were the first one. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt.
I don't believe it!
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's
Yeah? I was feeling kind of. Wait!
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets. Wouldn't you agree?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to. You made one fake.
Oh.
I didn't even catch it myself when you first. Looking back, I can say that one little slip.
What?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and.
I remember her saying that too, but...
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura, once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste and the four. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about it. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Shoot!
All I said was, they must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be positive. We are all going to die. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. Elated. We are all going to die here.
Shoot!
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said was, they must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are going to die. And that is.
And that's all it takes. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said, they must really enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to die. We are going to die. And that is all I.
And that's all it takes to finish. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said, they must really enjoying the sight of us. They must be positive. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like.
No, that's wrong. That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like when she said that, none of us had told her Taka was.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all... So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the...
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right?
You all have such vivid
Imagination.
You claim that I was lying when I told you. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the...
It has to be some kind of... Celeste, put the suit on. And then...
Have you secretly forgotten? You are the only... Plus, I happen to know that this particular... In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged up. If everything I told you was a lie.
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than...
No, there is no...
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging...
That's certainly within the realm of... The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person that we've simply been led to believe that it's... And the strange costume might only exist to lead us... If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation...
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the...
Is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away?
Is it? I don't think it's...
Then shut your mouth and allow me to it.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Then the fortune-telling idiot is the culprit after all!
No way! You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up.
No, that's wrong! No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up because that Robo-Justice suit had a...
That's right!
I'm not so sure. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to...
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially... That's how they...
What do you mean? Celeste? Clearly! You want to cram me into your little guilty box? Well, there's one.
Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
When we asked him who had attacked him, he said... In other words, Yasuhiro...
Wait! But my name isn't really Yasuhiro!
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things...
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the...
What the hell are you talking about?
Kyoko, what do you...
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to... How did he refer to each of us?
Shoot!
Think back to how did he refer to each of us?
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagaki.
I'm sure it was just incidental.
Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now is it? No. There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different, but he must have run out of energy before he could say...
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last...
But the name he said doesn't apply to...
Well, no. Hold on. And that's Celeste. She never actually told...
What do you think? You take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit. Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather. Yasuhiro is a loser's name. Do I look like a loser to you? Well, what? I think I've...
Okay, then fill us in.
Make sure your ear holes are wide open. And my real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
How many times do I have to tell you? My name is...
Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me, that's the only truth there is! Moron! Hifumi was trying. He wanted us to know the killers. If there's one person,
It would have to be you, Celeste.
how many times? Celestia Ludenberg!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me,
No, that's wrong. That's it.
what?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows Monokuma told us all. So all we have to do is check her hand. That's how we can find out.
That's an invasion of privacy.
Celeste, can you please just tell us, please?
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature because until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Fine then. Let me go over the case again, and that'll bring everything to an Here's exactly what happened. Before anything, the killer... Hifumi, with an accomplice, the killer was able to execute... First, they convinced someone to meet them in the... That someone they met, the murderous duo intended to pass Hiro. They drugged him, knocked him out, and stuffed him. Next, Hifumi positioned himself to make it look like Robo Justice was attacking him, while the killer used a digital camera to take... They did all this just to create evidence that would put this... When they were done with him, they shoved him, still unconscious. And then finally, at 6 a.m., they moved into the murder bay. They called Taka to the equipment room. And that's where Hifumi killed him. The murder weapon was Justice Hammer 4. The reason Hammer number 4 was used was to create confusion about the order of the crimes. So, next for these attacks, the killers pretend... The first fake incident was the attack in the wreck. There, the killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer 1 and the Robo Justice pictures they'd taken. They wanted to make sure we bought the surprise attack. The second fake incident was this time, they planted Justice Hammer 2. And with these two incidents, the killers were able to create a certain preconception in our that the suspect was increasing the size of the hammers and attacking people in order as we fell right into their trap. And while we did that, this was exactly what he took a blood packet from them and turned the room into a crime scene. He let out a scream to draw us. Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching, so when we heard the body discovery announcement, we left the nurse's office. He simply got up, and when we learned his body had disappeared, and once again, Hifumi had the chance he was waiting for. This time, he wrapped Taka's body in a tarp and used the... That explains how each of the But even Hifumi didn't know what the true killer had in mind for their final act. Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi and get rid of the one... And they did it using an ordinary... That should cover everything that happened. Celeste!
I lost? When was the last time I was forced to utter such words? They hang heavy around my...
Then you admit it?
Listen to you, trying to take charge, as if you're my bride. Celestia Taiko. Yasuhiro is...
Taiko?
So, you finally...
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost, I don't like things to drag on.
Interesting.
Okay, Monokuma. No, I suppose this is the end.
It is indeed the moment we've all been waiting for. If you would, please, and when the votes are tallied, will you make the right choice?
Honestly.
I knew it. So then...
Indeed.
Say what?
Just a second. In other words,
Indeed.
I see.
Actually,
What?
are you okay with it? So then,
Damnation! Say what?
as for me,
Oh.
as for me,
What? Damnation! Say what? Leon?
most unfortunate. Actually,
What?
indeed. Honestly,
I swear! What?
actually,
I see.
indeed.
But...
Let's see.
Well,
Are you okay with?
so in the end,
What the heck?
Well,
Don't be mean!
I wonder about that.
Why?
What the heck?
But...
You little... Hey! You little bitch!
This is fine. Honestly. As for me, isn't it wonderful? This is fine. There is nothing to be done.
Just the worst.
Oh! Do you understand?
What is this?
Yes, indeed. Isn't it wonderful?
Hey.
Thrills, chills, kills! Now then, I've prepared a very special. Let's give it everything we've got!
I guess I'll let Kyoko hold on to it. What? Will it really give you the hope you're looking for? I can't say I ever saw it that way. Which is why, actually, it's... Well then, perhaps we'll meet again.
What are you gonna do?
Let me out of here!
Too bad. How strange. Hey! Wawa?
So then, you...
Ooh!
Hey,
Ooh! How exciting! See ya later!
So...
Hey,
Indeed. Hey,
What?
so...
Come on. What? Goodbye.
well then.
Yo!
Okay.
Shall we go? So then...
You're really tame.
You... However... What? Indeed. What? It's true. That's fine. Correct. Correct.
Why, what did... I asked you a question. What? How dare you that this wasn't part of the deal?
I've made a decision. I will no longer retreat. No longer compromise. No, I've made my decision. I'm going to reason.
But you do realize what will happen if you go through with this, right? You haven't forgotten, have you? What I'm holding hostage?